Thank you for joining us for our last and final session of Data Talks. This is our 16th session. So thank you all if you've been with us throughout the whole entire journey, and equally thank you if you're attending just for this one. So we've got an action-packed kind of last hour set up for you guys to talk through. And this session is specifically our Data Leaders Forum, and we're going to focus on growing capabilities and careers in data science. Delighted to welcome our kind of guests here today. So for those of you that don't know me, my name is Nikki Mallett. I'm the Head of Profession for Data Analytics at Essex County Council. And if I hand over to my colleagues to introduce themselves. Stephen, would you like to go first?
Yeah, of course. My name is Stephen Simpkin. I work with Nikki's data analytics team. My job title is Data Science Fellow, and I've worked across various analytics and research roles for 16 years at Essex County Council. Pass over.
Thank you very much. My name is Spiros Vrontos. I'm Head of School of Mathematics, Statistics and Actuarial Science in University of Essex. I've been in Essex for around 10 years now. Thank you.
Excellent, thank you. So we've got 3 different kind of sections to kind of share with you as part of our Data Leaders Forum. I'm going to kick off with a little bit of background as to what our Data Leaders Forum actually is and why it's important we're having conversations about recruitment, retention, building capabilities and continued professional development within our own organisation. Going to hand over to my colleague, the Head of Maths from the University of Essex to talk through what building data science careers actually look like and some of the key skills and capabilities it's really important for us to focus in on. And then Stephen is going to kind of conclude the session to talk through kind of what that means for us in the kind of public sector and give some examples of how we've overcome some of those challenges using that golden thread approach right the way through from professions to roles, responsibilities and competencies. So just to kick us off then, kind of Data Leaders Forum. What is our Data Leaders Forum? So for background, we last year, as part of the Essex Centre for Data Analytics, actually set up a Data Leaders Forum as a space to connect data leaders across the Essex ecosystem. Around 26 different leaders from 20 different organisations, including health, fire, police, district councils, cities, borough councils, came together to form the group. And the forum was set up as a space where kind of leaders and managers with like-minded interests and challenges can get to know one another, share valuable knowledge, share skills, share experiences with one another, and actually support one another from our different organisations to really think about the acceleration and advancement of data analytics and data science within our own organisations and across the sector. It serves as a hub for kind of knowledge exchange, networking, problem solving and staying updated on kind of industry trends and really helps us to kind of foster professional growth in the field of data analytics. So I think we've got a split audience here today. We've got some data leaders, so please do kind of share your views, opinions, thoughts, challenges in the chat, as Stephen has kind of mentioned. We've also got a group of people that are coming along for the journey and coming along for the ride to hear what we're talking through. So we'll keep this as a bit of a kind of informal conversation where you've got the opportunity to bring in questions throughout the 3 different sections. But also it's an opportunity to understand some of the factors that are important for us all to address, regardless of whether we're leaders in the field or not. So ECTA is very passionate about connecting our partners together and providing network events to kind of support partners to kind of deliver work. And actually kind of we're here to help break down the barriers, facilitate those active spaces to help connect us together. So we have already had the Analyst Network earlier today, a fantastic session hosted by Rachel Newbury. If you haven't seen it, definitely check out the recording. But that was our Analyst Network, where the analysts get together to share skills and knowledge. But we didn't really have a space last year for kind of leaders to get together, connect more strategically on different issues that we all face. So we know we share similar challenges across the ecosystem. So data strategy, data maturity, recruitment and retention, growing capabilities, skills, data sharing with our partners, moving to the cloud, all things that we've heard about over the last 3 days. And this forum has provided a platform and will continue to provide a platform to allow senior leaders to discuss those issues collectively, brainstorm solutions and actually kind of think about where we can support one another in relation to useful resources, materials, works, and actually how we've overcome different challenges and shortcuts for success. Last year, when we held our first session, we talked about data maturity and data literacy. In the second session, we explored challenges and barriers for kind of what are our priorities over the coming year and where we can actually work to collaborate together. And there was a real desire and interest to start thinking about how we can have a session about developing talent in our own workforce and how we might look at recruitment and retention challenges and solutions to some of those problems. So that's exactly what we're going to be doing here today in relation to the topic. So as I mentioned, a quick rundown, I will talk to you through what kind of some of our own recruitment retention challenges are within our team, and particularly within our kind of organisation across the public sector. We're going to hear, as we heard this morning from our kind of Vice Chancellor, looking into the future, thinking about the expansion of kind of data science in the public sector and how it's set to evolve. Delighted that we've got the head of school for kind of mathematics and university to join us and talk through careers in data science, what are some of the skills, talents and jobs in data science that we need to be thinking out for, and what are the implications for us to reflect on in the public sector. And then we'll conclude with our ACE Data Science Fellow, Stephen, who'll share with you some examples of how we're trying to overcome some of those challenges using a golden thread approach that covers right the way through from professions through to kind of expectations and development opportunities. As I mentioned, we do have time for some kind of questions and answers throughout those 3 different sections. But we'd also love to hear about your challenges, solutions and ideas in relation to the topics that come up. So please do put them in the chat. It's an opportunity for us to kind of hear from you and also share your ideas and challenges with other people who can help to connect and support you with those. So to kick off, recruitment for data roles can pose unique challenges, and that could be around specialist skill sets required, technical expertise, skills shortages and competition for kind of roles and actually the kind of high demand for talented professionals within the field. And I think that's particularly true when we're all fishing from the same pool within one place. However, what is sometimes more of a challenge is that navigating kind of vast arrays of different and inconsistent job profiles that are out there in the market. I know myself, you've got data analysts, you've got information analysts, performance analysts, business intelligence officers, analytical officers, and then you've got the different levels on top of that. You've got seniors, you've got juniors, you've got leads. And so how many times have you seen a job advert and you thought, that's not a data analyst? Or how many times have you seen the same job title, but they're actually asking for very different expectations or skills or asks of that person to do? And we've found that particularly unhelpful within our own organisation and also particularly unhelpful when you look across the patch in trying to recruit and attract the right candidates. In Essex, we say that analyst is the most abused job title in the public sector, and it's quite remarkable that we have over 44 and growing different job profiles in our own libraries that actually have the word analyst in them, and they cover everything from data collection through to being an Excel whiz and a spreadsheet manager or a database administrator, through to kind of people that just want people to make pretty charts, right the way through to kind of people that could do proper analysis, performance reporting, through to advanced analytics and data science. And warning alert, I have stolen this. So I recently saw a blog from LinkedIn a couple of weeks back from Andy Lavelle from NHS England and the Improvement Agency, senior analytical professional manager there. And it was about bread rolls. And I thought that summed it up lovely as a visualization. So he kind of quotes, who would have thought that a mix of flour, yeast, salt, sugar and water could be known by so many different names around the country? And that is a great analogy when we think about the different types of analysts that people are kind of wanting to bring into their organisations. It's really important that we're clear about what we want to bring in, and we use standardised job profiles and descriptions in accordance to some of the new frameworks that are out there at the moment. So in ECC, whilst some might think that actually it's quite difficult to attract and recruit the right staff, we've actually experienced an explosion of applications for people applying to be analysts within our team. For us, applications have actually doubled over the last 3 years in all roles, particularly more junior ones. And we've also found that applications have gotten stronger in terms of the skills that they actually possess. And I think kind of for us, we've seen a move from kind of analysts applying for roles, maybe one or two strengths or domains, to actually the solid all-rounders with strong skills in all of the different domains. Whether that's combined statistical skills with SQL experience and knowledge, whether that's combined stakeholder management and storytelling, it's no longer one or the other type of a role. And if you really want to stand out, then you need to be a kind of a good all-rounder in all of those areas, not just one or two. So we've seen that there are more qualified people per role and a greater volume of candidates actually looking for work within the field. We've seen a greater volume of candidates across the board with an increased volume of kind of strong candidates. And we know that's going to continue to grow with the volume of people kind of going through training and getting experience through different professions. We know that's kind of multiplied, particularly with the university kind of graduates coming through and the courses that they kind of put on to meet that demand, as we heard about earlier. But I guess with that growth in demand for kind of people wanting to come into the profession, we have started to see new and different challenges starting to emerge. So with people being newer into the roles or kind of the future talented pipeline coming from the university, they come with a breadth of different skills and new skills, but sometimes lack experience of kind of real world applied examples. It also takes recruitment managers much longer to sift through all the piles of applications. I'm sure you're all nodding and agreeing for that if you've recently done an interview process. You know, we had about over 170 applicants on average over the year for kind of analyst and junior roles, and that's kind of really strong, but it takes a long time to actually sift through those applications to make sure you're not missing the right candidates. We also see different salaries that people can get to do the same role, but be paid differently elsewhere. Workplace challenges and workplace styles are actually a new challenge for us. So, you know, we're working from home, hybrid working, coming into the office if people are far away presents different challenges to what we've maybe set ourselves up for. And then sometimes it's just a matter of finding the right person at the right time. So in data analytics, whilst our staff turnover is actually relatively low, at about 15% over the last 3 years, when we compare that to the kind of UK churn for analyst roles, I think that's about 22%. So we know our kind of staff turnover is low, but due to growing demands and team expansions, we've really still had to kind of go out to adverts and recruit for a fair few roles over the last few years. So we're really interested to know from you guys, how many data roles have you gone out for in the last year in your organisation? And what are some of the challenges you've seen, or what are the challenges you're starting to see in relation to recruitment within your own organisation? If you want to feed them through into the chat, that'd be welcome to hear some of those, and also understand if they're different to some of our challenges. In Essex County Council, I think we've gone out for about 6 roles in a typical kind of year period. So what about some kind of issues around kind of attraction and retention? We worked with Gartner, and Gartner had some national research that I'll kind of share with you. And it shows that since the pandemic, about 65% of employees have actually rethought their place of work within their kind of life. And about 58% have actually changed their perspectives on desirability of their workplace location. And actually, for the first time in a decade, work-life balance equals compensation as the top 3 IT employee attraction drivers. So we can see on the right-hand side of this diagram, issues such as stability, technology, development opportunities and holiday entitlement are all top attraction drivers. However, in the middle of this diagram, things like work-life balance, respect, future career opportunities, location and health benefits are actually 6 out of the 10 top attrition and attraction drivers that really is something we should be reflecting on as kind of leaders in the sector. When you look at the top reasons in IT that kind of people are leaving, about a third actually state kind of compensation, so better salary somewhere else. But a quarter of people, so you know, 26%, say the quality of the manager is an important factor in why they're leaving or why they're staying. And a quarter of people also state that work-life balance has a big role to play in why people would leave. So interesting fact for you, is that it takes more than a 20% pay rise to actually lure most employees away from kind of a manager who really engages with them and provides good quality support, and next to nothing to actually poach workers that are really disengaged. So with IT employees and kind of data employees increasingly citing manager quality, respect and recognition as drivers for people leaving, this means as leaders we really need to think differently about recruitment, about retention and continued professional development. And that's in both conversations and plans for individuals and teams. About 82% of employees actually say that it's important for their organisation to see them as a person, not just as an employee. But only 45% of employees actually believe their organisation sees them as a person and not just an employee. And we know that people want different things from their role. They want different things from their managers and they want different things from their workplace. So it's really important that we think about the employee value proposition and turn that into much more of a human deal. Employees are people, they're not just workers. Work is a subset of life and not separate from it. And values come through feelings, not just features. So as leaders, we need to kind of evolve our management and deliver a more human-centered approach to managing individuals that sit within data professions. And Gartner described this as kind of 5 key attributes. 1, about kind of developing deeper connection. 2, radical flexibility. 3, personal growth. 4, holistic well-being. And 5, shared purpose. And actually, remarkably, research suggests that the human deal increases employee satisfaction by about 15%. And that means we need to provide much more flexibility on aspects of work, not just the when and the where, but sometimes the how. We need to help employees to grow as people, not just professionals. We need to ensure that employees are kind of supported and actually use the holistic wellbeing offerings. We need to take kind of collective action on the purpose and not just make statements about what we're going to do. And we need to help employees to kind of connect with communities and families and to support them on their journey. So again, really interested to hear from you in terms of what some of the things you're doing in your workplace to support your data community and your data professions. So lastly from me, before I hand over, we've seen really from the kind of previous 2 diagrams how deep our connections and personal growth really matters to people, and it matters to our employees, and they want to feel valued through their kind of growth. In a national IT survey of over 5,000 employees, 86% of employees actually think it's important for their workplaces to provide opportunities to learn skills that will be useful to them in their job. But 68% also think it's important for their workplace to provide opportunities to learn new skills outside of their organisation. 60% of employees think that it's important for their workplace to provide opportunities to pursue personal interests. And about 53% would actually like opportunities to pursue non-traditional career paths. So with kind of moderning skill sets of kind of the role of analyst, and kind of to support people to develop in their careers and not just the kind of job, it's time to start thinking about kind of talent growth as a career climbing wall and not just a climbing ladder. And that will help us to set the right type of expectations, that learning is agile, it's adaptable, it's not just a rush to kind of going to the top. It encourages people and supports people to do sideways moves, thinking about skills adjacency, leveraging kind of existing knowledge from different SMEs and different professions, and really helping people to navigate and kind of harness their kind of raw skills and talents. In Essex, we've seen that we've got kind of very ambitious people, which is fantastic, and some fantastic skill sets. And for us, it's about kind of helping people to manage those expectations, develop their skills, and develop in their careers for the longer term, so they can scale that climbing wall to achieve success. We know the average career is about kind of 32 years, And with the kind of growing evolution of the profession and the need to continually upskill and reskill our workforce to be kind of best in class, it's really important that we can understand what is coming next on the horizon, and particularly for kind of our emerging practice for kind of data science. It's really important we understand what does good data science look like, what are some of the skills and competencies that are required, and what should we be thinking about as public sector services to support talented individuals within our organisation. So on that note, I will hand over to our professor with the skills and expertise to talk us through careers in data science.
Thank you very much. Let me share my screen. Can you see the screen, please? Yes.
Excellent.
Okay. Thank you very much. So thank you very much. So we'll talk about careers in data science and the skills a data scientist needs to have. But before that, I thought it's very useful to have an introduction to the work that the School of Mathematics, Statistics and Actuarial Science in University of Essex is doing. So we will start with introduction to the school, and then we're going to see, we're going to explore the data science job profiles and try to propose some ideas for future collaboration in forums like this or face-to-face in University of Essex and so on. So the School of Mathematics, Statistics and Actuarial Science has been known with this name from August 2023. So less than a year now. Before that, it was known as Department of Mathematical Sciences, and before that as Department of Mathematics. But because the number of staff was growing and the expertise of this staff was more than on mathematics, but on various disciplines that interact with mathematics, for example, mathematical biology, mathematical finance, and so on, it was renamed as Department of Mathematical Sciences, and then it was renamed as, because of the growth that we had in terms of student numbers and academic staff numbers, it was renamed as School of Mathematics, Statistics and Actuarial Science. So we don't have the name data science in the name of our school, but we have lots of data scientists and statisticians, and we are strong a lot in this direction. So regarding some recent statistics and rankings, we are 13 based on subjects of mathematics, which include also statistics and data science and so on, based on the Guardian University subject ranking of 2024. We have our courses. This is about the UG courses, a low student to staff ratio, which is approximately around 12.10, if I remember well. So around 12 students per member of staff, which is quite low, and is good that it is low. We do excellent research, so 92% of the research outputs of the papers, the academic papers that we write as researchers, was ranked 4-star, meaning world leading, or 3-star, meaning internationally excellent. We have 48 academic members of staff, and these members of staff are organized into research groups, the mathematics research group and the data science research group. So since we talk about data, I will talk here about in more detail about the data science research group. So in the data science research group, we have actuarial science, actuarial mathematics, actuarial science research theme. I am also a professor in actuarial science, but as we said before, data science and also actuarial science is interdisciplinary. So actuarial science has to do with modeling the risk that insurance companies are covering. For example, the risk of having an accident in automobile insurance and so on. We are using a lot data science, and many staff, of course, are doing research in actuarial data science and financial data science, but also in other areas. We also have the DSSL theme, the data science and statistical learning, and this work on various topics in data science methodologies, such as artificial intelligence, statistical learning, bioinformatics, environmental statistics, epidemiology, and so on. We have the operational research theme, which do research in optimization, in dynamic programming, reinforcement learning, scheduling. We'll see some examples in a minute. Predictive modeling in OR and so on. And also the statisticians, the statistical methodology theme, was do research in statistics, probability, survival analysis, and other areas there. So what I need to say here is that the data science research group is the biggest research group in our school, and we have lots of people who are doing research in these themes, and that these themes are interdisciplinary. So actuarial actuaries are using data science techniques. So for example, if someone from a government organization wants to quantify the probability of something happening, of the risk of something happening, actuarial science techniques can be used there together with data science techniques and so on. OR theme is using data science, etc. So some of the work that we have done as a school, members of our school, with industrial collaborations are mostly in the form of knowledge transfer partnerships. A knowledge transfer partnership, a KTP, is a form of funding from the government where a person, the associate, the KTP associate, is working in a company under the supervision of an academic member of staff in order to solve a problem that the company has. This is usually for a period of 24 months or a little bit more, 2 years or 2.5 up to 2.5 years. So some of the most successful knowledge transfer partnerships that we have were, for example, with Profusion and with MODAC, where statistical methods were used, for example, in MODAC, in order to try to find what article of news is more relevant for the person who at that time was looking through MODAC the particular data. So as, for example, Netflix tries to find what is the best movie for us to see, this tool was finding what is the most interesting article for us in order to read it later. So these two KTPs have also awarded Profusion the best KTP partnership of the year across UK, and for MODAC, the best KTP partnership for the small and medium enterprise category also across UK. We also have used other KTPs that have applied data science techniques in insurance. For example, I am currently doing in one with the one with in Ecliptic and the one with Sheffield Compello, and previously with MSXI. For example, in this one with Ecliptic, what we're trying to do is to develop recommender systems that utilize machine learning techniques. And also there was one with a real estate agent, Strike. So, but we have used also others using optimization techniques with the port of Felixstowe for labor scheduling, with green transportation and distribution using optimization methods, optimum routing with Ocado, and so on. So there are lots of them and successful industry collaborations. And I have to mention here that University of Essex is #1 in UK regarding the KTPs. So we have the largest number of KTPs as a university across UK. We also had in the past and also currently collaborations with public sector. One of the largest ones was the one through Catalyst, a project funded through KEFKE. So there you have used machine learning and predictive modeling in order to for various cases, but one, for example, through the risk stratification part of it was to create data analytics and predictive tools and visualization tools, dashboards, to offer predictive insight in order to help decision making some problems that they have. Also, we have worked with Essex Police to develop dashboards and visualization tools and predictive models for crime data. So we are willing to keep on the collaboration both with industry and with public sector, of course, because we always find interesting data there that we don't have access otherwise in order to produce then important research, but also solve problems that society has. So after this short introduction to what we do in Essex, let's talk about the data science jobs and skills that one can see. So I understand also from what Nicolas said before, but also from seeing various adverts in news and so on, that usually the terms that comes very often is the term of analysts. So business analyst, senior analyst, junior analyst, and so on. So what I have here is first we'll try to see, let's say, one of the many definitions of data science that exist there. So data science is multidisciplinary. So of course it involves statistics, it involves computer science, and so on. So one definition that I like is the one from John Wills from Slack, who said that a data scientist is a person who is better at statistics than a software engineer, a computer engineer, and better at software engineering from a statistician. So you have both of these. So it's multidisciplinary, it's interdisciplinary. So some of the steps involved in data science, in data analytics is, for example, data collection. And of course, if we talk about big data, there is also the issue of data storage, how the data should be stored efficiently. It's a data cleaning and preparation if there is, for example, unstructured data or data that are not clean. The data visualization, we need to visualize the data in order to get early some knowledge from these. And then it involves experimentation and predictive modeling. We try to predict what will happen in the future or to understand better using this data. And of course, very, very important is the storytelling part of it. So we need a good data scientist needs to communicate what he has done, so the methodology, why he has done it, and the results that he has found from the analysis of the data to an audience that has less experience and less technical expertise regarding the methodologies that have been used. So as you understand, a data scientist looks like a polymath, especially because we apply data science in areas that are not always the same. So of course, we have people specializing only in finance and in particular areas in finance and so on, but a data scientist has to be a sort of a polymath. So the soft skills, I put first the soft skills because I think that they are very important in this, even more important than the technical skills. So one must have excellent problem-solving abilities, must have strong analytical and critical thinking skills. As we said, have excellent communication skills for presenting the findings. They need to work collaboratively with cross-functional teams. And as we said before, not only analytical and critical thinking skills, but also creativity and imagination. Everybody can take, not everybody, but many people can take from the shelf 5, 10, 20 algorithms and use them and then try to find, compare them and try to find which is the best. But in many cases, you need to be creative and existing tools may not be good enough for solving the problem. So most of the jobs may appear under the general role of or the general name of a data scientist. So a data scientist, the technical skills of a data scientist involve having experience with data manipulation and cleaning techniques. In some cases, the data can be vast. So just looking, one row after the other in an Excel file may not be enough. So must find ways how to do that more efficiently. They must have strong statistical analysis and machine learning skills. And with this, of course, we mean that they must have strong mathematical foundation skills. So understanding what is the difference between one method and the other method, why one method works better than the other method. It's not random if method A works well and method B doesn't work so well. Of course, they should be proficient in programming languages like Python, R, SQL, and so on, and be able to use visualization tools like Matplotlib or Tableau, Power BI, and so on. The more the bigger the data, big data technology may be useful, such as Hadoop, Spark, and so on. So more related to data is also the data engineer. So a data engineer may need to work in cloud platforms such as Azure, Google Cloud, AWS. So they need familiarity with this kind of tools. Of course, also they need to be proficient in programming languages such as Python and in some cases Scala. They need also expertise in database technologies like SQL or other technologies for databases, and knowing data warehousing concepts, how to extract, load, and process the data, especially if we talk about big data. Now, a more specific one to machine learning is the so-called machine learning engineer role. This person must have in-depth knowledge of machine learning algorithms and techniques, including the math behind that. They must have experience with machine learning frameworks, like for example, the TensorFlow or the PyTorch, scikit-learn, and so on, and with neural networks and other deep learning architectures. Also, understanding how to evaluate a model, why this model is selected as the best, how to compare the different models, and validation techniques is very important. It is easy in some cases to be fooled from the data. You have tried in the data so many algorithms, and then you are finding an algorithm that works, but this works because it already has seen the data. So we must always live outside a data set that has not been seen by the algorithms in order to be able to validate our model, to examine what is the performance of the model in a data set not seen by the model as it is new, in order to see how it will work. And there's also, of course, the business analyst role, which also should be familiar with statistical analysis techniques and data visualization tools. They must have experience with data manipulation and querying databases, basic programming concepts. This could be, for example, VBA from Excel or other programming languages, and experience data analysis tools like Excel, for example, SQL, or Power BI. Now, what we can do in order to support the career development in data science, or what can we do in order to foster an environment of continuous learning in data science, and how our School of Mathematics, Statistics and Actuarial Science in Essex can be useful in this direction. So as I said before, we would like to be part of a forum, of a network where we meet often and discuss problems that the industry, but also the public sector specifically here, has. So one idea, which of course, the one comes to one's mind first, but perhaps not the most important. I will say later what I think is very, very important for the not the distant future, but the near future. So one thing we can do is we can train and educate data scientists or people who want to become data scientists. So what we currently have is a number of highly successful MSc data science courses. So we have the MSc in data science, the MSc in applied data science, and the MSc in data science and its applications. So the MSc applied data science and the MSc data science applications are both currently they have an October start and a January start. From next year, we will have also the MSc Data Science having both an October start and January start. So we have courses that are for people, master courses that are for people who have finished a math degree or statistics degree and so on. But we also have conversion courses, MSc courses, for people who have no experience or very little experience of doing data science or data analysis. We also, as it was mentioned earlier this morning from the director of IADS and the director of short courses in Essex, we also, as a School of Mathematics, Statistics and Actuarial Science, can offer short courses in data science. For example, I understand there is a need for data visualization, so we can offer short courses how one can do data visualization and create, for example, interesting dashboards. Or we have short courses, Introduction to Statistical Analysis and Data Science with R, that have been developed. We have courses about how to retrieve data and extract data, query data using, for example, SQL. So we have these databases and data processing with SQL course. I want to say that all these courses have been done for a number of years in hundreds of students. We have in hundreds of MSc students. So it's modules that have been and courses that have been tested year after year in order to and have been updated. There are, as I said, data visualization, introduction to statistics course, applied regression, experimental data analysis, and more advanced, such as, for example, machine learning, artificial intelligence, deep statistical learning with applications, and a more introductory one, introduction to R. So this is regarding an MSc degree, for example. Of course, there are the BSc. Also, if someone wants to go for a BSc for 3 years, BSc in data science and so on. What I wanted to say is that In some cases, there could be opportunities also if a member of staff of a public sector organization wants to do a PhD in a topic relevant, for example, to the work he is doing there or she is doing there, we can have the so-called match-funded PhD opportunities. How this work? This means that if the company, the organization, from the public sector gives 50% of the fees, then the university does not require or put itself actually does not require the second 50% of the fees. So it happens that in the end that the person just pays for 50% of the PhD fees. Now, one thing that I think it's a good idea, for example, is to pair data professionals from government organization with experienced academic mentors from our school. And they can provide them guidance, advice, and support. We can have either one-to-one or group meetings if it's more relevant to have a group meeting and more efficient between mentors and mentees, and also discuss in this way the career goals, the challenges they are facing, and what are opportunities for growth. This, of course, cannot be, let's say, in a weekly basis or a bi-weekly basis, but it can be, let's say, in a termly basis, once per term, once every 3 months, or one every 2 months, or in a frequency like this. So one more that we could do, which could be more often than termly meetings, for example, or monthly meetings, we could provide opportunities for data professionals from government organizations, to work on cross-functional projects and collaborate with academics from our school. For example, we can create a weekly seminar series. We currently have 2 seminar series, but you can add a 3rd one. So you can create a weekly seminar series where a practitioner has studied a particular problem and a particular data set and comes to Essex, for example, but it can be also via Zoom or via Teams and so on. It can be online. And the practitioner says, this is a problem, this is what we have done, and the academic has seen, for example, this before, and presents. So half an hour, the practitioner presents the problem and the data, and the next half an hour, the academic is presenting some possible ideas or methodologies that could be applied in order from this data to gain, to extract knowledge, insights, and the solution to the problem. We would be very happy to have this, and it would be also something very beneficial for us to have it. But this is just one idea. In general, we are very happy to try to create and foster a culture of knowledge sharing and collaboration. So, for example, this could mean having some data sets shared between government organizations and our school for example, MSc dissertations. We have cases that this has been done before with open data, but understand that some data cannot be open, but we can sign the relevant agreements and have data sets from government organizations be analyzed by master students and extract knowledge and create methodologies, dashboards, for example, or other techniques, apply techniques that it is difficult, either, for example, from regarding the capacity, because I understand that not many data scientists exist across all organizations, but a number of data sets exist, for example. So I would be very happy also to help with that. So that was all I have to say. Thank you very much. Let me stop sharing.
Excellent, thank you. And some great suggestions there. Hugo kind of has come in saying he loves the idea of kind of cross-functional exposures. That sounds really good. So it's definitely something I think we should follow up with as an opportunity. So I will segue to Stephen just to keep us to time. But yeah, great idea. So thank you for sharing that, and really good food for thought about things that we can do and how we can connect with you to further develop our kind of careers within our own workforce. That's really helpful. Thank you. Stephen.
Lovely, thank you. Yeah, they're really good suggestions. Yeah, and I think across the course of the last 3 days, I think one continued thing that keeps coming up is being able to connect with kind of professionals from different backgrounds and different skill sets across the wide range of people that have been involved in these sessions we run. So I think definitely we'll be looking for ways of making use of some of those things you suggested there, some of the things that came up in other sessions as well. Right, so I'm going to end by trying to tie together some of the bits that were covered in those first two speakers, but also a few tips and resources on how you might go about building, I guess, a modern analytics team, kind of sharing a bit of our own experience as well. They've just heard there from Professor Frontos and heard earlier today from the Institute of Analytics and Data Science. And these are kind of leading experts in the profession. They've been working with our organisations for years, really, supporting them with various kind of projects. So really well placed for knowing about the skills required in data analytics teams. I'm going to talk about a kind of golden thread from those skills through recruitment to continual professional development, and a thread that kind of links together all of these things you see on your screen now, and should provide a bit of a framework for data leaders. And this is all about kind of creating a modern analytics workforce within your respective organisations. I feel if I keep kind of quoting Lucy Clayton at the Fire and Rescue Service, I'm going to have to start sending her royalties. But I'm going to again, because I've noticed she's not actually in this session, so I can get away with this. But in the very first Data Talk session, she talked about growing the analytical capacity at the Fire and Rescue Service. I know Rob's in here. Oh no, I'm going to be dobbed in. But she said she needed to beg, steal and borrow because to begin with, she had limited human resource. Many organisations will be in a very similar position to Lucy's Fire and Rescue Service 10 years ago with limited resource. So absolutely, definitely, by all means, draw upon your local partnerships, beg, steal and borrow, work with universities, work with institutes like IADS, and kind of help demonstrate that value of analytics and data professionals as Lucy was able to do. And then when you are able to, or if you are able to start growing your team or have an opportunity to evolve or expand your team, you need to ensure you do that well. And that's what I'm going to try and cover here. So, first up, this cycle shows all the things and how all the things we've talked about in this session kind of come together. So good recruitment alone won't cut it, and good professional development alone won't cut it. We kind of need this cycle whereby you're both attracting and bringing in the skills you've heard about, but then also ensuring that the staff that you already have the access to training and development opportunities to ensure they are skilled and up to date with modern data practices. I guess my very first tip, probably the most important one here, is kind of strong leadership is needed here. So as kind of data leaders, you have a really critical role in ensuring your organisation is using data effectively. And in order to do so, you have to ensure that you have the right mix of skills within your team. So it needs kind of someone to almost acknowledge that if there's people in your workforce that perhaps haven't updated or refreshed their skills in the last 5 to 10 years, and they probably don't have the right skills for that point in time and need a refresh and update. And I think it's your responsibility as data leaders to give people those opportunities to ensure they are continually have the ability and the option to update and refresh their skills as they go. So it is particularly pertinent, I think, in the data arena because it has had rapid evolution, but it's not unique. It is true of every profession. There's nothing unique here. So if you were a hairdresser in the 90s, you probably got away with just being able to do a French crop to whichever male walked through the door, but that's not really going to help you in 2024. You need to evolve with the times. So it's an incredibly important role for data leaders, but kind of thankfully, as we heard from Nikki, the future pipeline of skilled analysts is pretty well stacked for people coming out of universities like University of Essex with some kind of raw skills. And then for existing staff, there's also many, many different resources and mechanisms to support development. So data science as a practice has started to become a bit more standard over the last few years now. And here we see the classic kind of data science. Then it's no longer something that is talked about as like an emergent practice anymore. It's started to become a bit of an expected way of working. So it becomes a bit too easy sometimes to convince yourself that if you're just a small organization, you have limited resources, it might not be for you. But I'd say don't convince yourself you're not ready, otherwise you never will be. Now, the skills here will continually evolve, but pretty consistently, it's about the modern application of statistical methodologies. So a good analyst will have that understanding of statistics and research, also that kind of natural inquisitive nature that was mentioned earlier, that kind of problem solving abilities. But in the last decade, there's been a bit of a growing need to be able to conduct this analysis and research in more, I guess, efficient ways. So kind of typically syntax based. So therefore, there's been an increased requirement to have kind of data processing skills. And I tend to simplify what's on your screen now into what is going to become my t-shirt slogan: get data, do something with it, put the right intelligence into the hands of those that need to see it. Now, the USP of a data analyst is to analyze data, and that's what people come to your teams for. So yes, it's incredibly important that you have these kind of softer skills as well, and these kind of complementary skills, but also don't overlook these kind of core professional skills as well. Right, so the golden thread, we wanted to create, it kind of starts with the skills we think are needed now and in the future as well. And this creates our profession, so the field of work successfully professionalized that you have to train to become. It's then important to have a good hierarchical structure within professions. So we heard earlier how opportunities to progress is really important, as it should be. So we need to be able to see some sort of career ladder or career wall to climb at some point, not necessarily immediately, but something there you can see in the future. Within each role, we have our functional responsibilities, and these are the tasks that we expect that those roles do on a kind of daily basis. And then the competencies are the skills required to do those responsibilities effectively. And if we have all that in place, we can start to build our kind of organizational, our team, and our personal development around those skills. I'll quickly add now that this does need to kind of regularly evolve as the professions do, and all of this you might try to look at revising every 1 to 2 years or so. Conscious of time, so I'm not going to go into detail here, but here's the reason why this is important. I'm going to talk about that kind of golden thread now, but also that the one I'll probably draw your attention to, that bottom left, trying to be consistent with industry standards. That helps build careers and gives people a lot more opportunities if their skill sets are aligned with what people are looking for across the board. But back to our golden thread. So we found 2 distinct and recognized professions within our own team, and we want others to recognize this too. So often if you don't sit within these professions, people just think it's all a data team, it's all data, it all doesn't matter, the same thing. And we want to change that because it is a lot more nuanced. I think Nikki mentioned the 41 different types of analyst. I think it'd be like saying that all medical professions are the same, just saying it's all medicine. But at the end of the day, I wouldn't want a dentist giving me an appendectomy, for example. So these are our 2 professions. Data analyst is fairly well established, even if, like we heard earlier, analyst is an overly used term. Data engineer is perhaps a bit more fresh in its emergence, especially in the public sector, and we're in the midst of trying to professionalize that. And we're probably one of the first organizations in the public sector to recognize that as a profession and a really desirable skill set. And once you're able to articulate the professions you are or need, there's so much material to try and help you get the detail of responsibilities and skills. And we used the central government DDAP framework. And I've mentioned earlier, this helps with becoming consistent with industry standards. So the structure is important to enable that progression. So we've endeavoured to have different tiers or roles for our DDAP professions. You can see them here. On the left, we see these kind of entry-level positions. We've had really, really great success recruiting junior analysts, being a bit of a game changer, just having that as a role in itself. And then there's that clear, natural next step for all of them, so from junior analyst to analyst. It's still a bit of a work in progress, but the idea we might want to develop, we've talked about earlier, there is always going to be considerable overlap between some professions, like research and analytics, for example. And that has that potential to create that climbing wall Nikki mentioned. So you might take a sideways step from analyst to researcher, and this helps build new, but still complementary skills that expands career opportunities. Right now, I think I'll just quickly mention, I do appreciate not every organization has this luxury about thinking about, oh, I'll have 20 different roles for my staff. I know quite often you're very hamstrung by the fact you might only have 2 or 3 human resource, but I think still keeping to some kind of structure and consistent standards in the long term will help build your workforce. Then here in the middle, we have our functional responsibilities for each role. So this is where we make frameworks, make the frameworks fit our actual organization specificities. So this is stuff we've kind of created ourselves from scratch based on our organizational need. And this is just one example about customer. And you can see that there's escalating expertise required, plus escalating experience, accountability, responsibility. So the responsibilities don't change. It's just perhaps there's increased expertise required for them. So we don't have a different list of responsibilities for a manager as we do for a junior. We're trying to create this thread throughout. Yep, customer, the one you see here. Our other responsibilities and job profiles are demand management, project delivery, culture and literacy, and best practice analytics. And it's the same with competencies here, also kind of escalating expertise or accountability required, but it might be that senior posts are using that expertise in different ways. So they might be using technical expertise to kind of QA work and shape it, whereas the junior role might be using that technical expertise to ensure the quality of their own work is good and ensure that their work is QA'd by others. We've got about 10 different competencies or skills, and they're lifted straight from the framework. I just wanted to end though, focusing on the continual professional development. And this is kind of what we try to update each year. We have our whole team development. This is based on team and organisational need, somewhat driven by the evolution of the profession. And on the right, we have our personal development, and this is driven by individual needs and interests. And then in the middle, kind of role specific development. And I'll show a few examples of what this was for the last year. So our high-level team development has been linked primarily to our data strategy, I guess. And typically we focus on one part of our project lifecycle here on the right. This is an example from last year where we looked at service literacy. So our analysts understanding the businesses they support, which is really, really important. We also looked at starting analytical projects well. So things like understanding service challenges and determining potential solutions. And across our wider network, we've run sessions on governance, ethics, and effective data outputs. Highlighted earlier, different roles have different expectations, and in regard to daily responsibilities, hence we've run training, formal and informal, for specific roles. So for leader and senior roles, we've had presenting training. For senior analyst roles, we've had project management training, all things which help people kind of thrive in the role they are within. And then we have these personal development plans for individual staff members, and that's based on their needs and interest. But we also have a wide range of opportunities here on the screen for everyone in the team to try and take advantage of and find a way of learning that works for them. We know one size doesn't fit all. Some people like to learn alone, some people in groups, so on. This is just a mix of those opportunities to give everyone kind of an opportunity to find something that works. And to a degree, we give a fair bit of autonomy for people to find out what works for them. And just to kind of bring us right back to the start and wrap up, this has really helped us acquire the right people through the door. I don't want to embarrass anyone, but the people we've kind of brought in over the last couple of years have a brilliant career ahead of them in data analytics, if that's what they want. And you would have heard from some of them this week. We've also helped some of the excellent people we already have in our team realise that they can have a career in analytics in local government, and a fulfilling one at that. So Nikki mentioned our churn rate is typically lower than a data team. And our team have been regularly praised by others for the wealth and breadth of development opportunities we give people. I think that's a key reason for that churn. Thinking about transitioning, so development and progression, I know they're two separate things, but there is considerable overlap there. Absolutely fantastically, 76% of people in our team have had a promotion in the last 3 years alone. And I should say, honestly, kind of believe me, I don't kind of give that away at all, and many a time to my own kind of detriment, but I do always make sure it's about skills and experience, and people only kind of achieve that when they are ready for it. And finally, sadly, we have also lost some really good people to other jobs, and that's always unavoidable. I'm afraid that will always happen. But this is where I return to that kind of earlier point that strong leadership is absolutely imperative in forming a modern analytics team. This is all about building long-lasting careers and not about what is the shortest way to the next role. We've all got to work for 40 to 50 years, and you're not doing anyone any favours kind of promoting them to roles they're not equipped to too soon. So it's not good for your organisation or team, and not good long-term for individuals. And I think I'll end with one of my favourite ever kind of memories of working here, and one of my own best kind of personal successes. And this actually came from a couple of people who left the team, very good people who left the team, but both winded up eventually in something resembling almost their kind of dream jobs, or the jobs they've always wanted to do. And both then contacted me down the line saying, "I'm so glad you made me learn X, Y, Z," because those are the things which create that kind of long and fulfilling career. I am conscious I've just taken us over the time. I'm going to quickly pass back to Nikki to wrap up, but thanks again for all your involvement this week.
That's perfect. Thank you very much. And thank you very much to kind of our guest speakers there. Lots of food for thought, lots of ideas and suggestions, and lots of kind of really great things that we can follow up on, whether you are a employee, a manager, or a leader in the field of data analytics within Essex and or any other kind of county across the UK. Lots of food for thought that hopefully you've taken away from today and the session about kind of growing careers in data science. And I hope you've taken away things over the last 3 days as well. So does conclude Data Talks. Thank you for kind of joining us. We've had 16 different talks, 24 different organisations actually participate in presenting, over 2,400 viewers in terms of attendees, and actually they've come from over 180 different organisations. So incredible to have such a reach and such a level of engagement from kind of individuals. We thank you for your participation. A copy of slides and presentations will be available. You'll get a custom email once the event has kind of closed. Just give us a couple of days to work that through. And we'll also be launching a SharePoint site that allows us to kind of share kind of resources within our Essex ecosystem as well. So kind of we'll be in contact around that after the event. But yeah, thank you all very much for the last 3 days, and I hope you all have lovely evenings.